are. Virginia Madsen was in it for like 15 minutes. Francesca Annis was in it.
For those just joining us, we're talking about the cast and crew of Dune.
Right. Sean Young was in it. Patrick Stewart was in it. Kenneth McMillan was in it, and he was insanely terrific as Baron Harkonnen. Linda Hunt was in it. Jose Ferrer, a Golden Age Hollywood actor. Fantastic actor. And the movie, I think, holds up today. You've got to read the book because there's characters in it like Third Stage Guild navigators that fold space, and you really don't even understand those concepts, or these Bene Gesserit witches that are clairvoyant, that have become that way through the spice melange, which is only mined on the planet Dune, Arrakis, which has no water at all anywhere.
That's a predicament.
It's a fabulous book, fabulous movie. I encourage people to watch it.
So I heard that the movie is only a fraction of the book, right? You said it's like a 1,000-page book.
It's like a 1,000-page book. I mean, how much can you get into a book? I mean, into a movie. So what they do in any movie is they try to capture the tops of the waves, right? But from what I saw in the trailer's not much different. I mean, are you going to have crisper, neater special effects? Yes. But in the 1984 version, they certainly didn't have CGI.
Right.
And they had to use some puppets and wires to float people around. And there's something a little bit more tactile about creatures that are puppets and not CGIs, right? I'm in my 60s. My kids are now entering their 30s, and they say the best Star Wars was when Yoda was a puppet and not CGI, and his face looked all like rubbery
because it was real.
It
was real. Tangible, actual on camera puppet.
Yeah, but the human eye picks that up. You can. It's the human eye picks up even the best CGI. Whether it's movies like Midway, where it's World War II. If you want to see a good example of what I'm talking about, ladies and germs, take a look at the movie called Midway that just came out a year or so ago. A lot of battle scenes, a lot of fighter planes, a lot of Japanese Zeros and American Tomcats, all CGI'd. And then take a look at a movie that I like to call Valkyrie, with one of my favorite Hollywood icons, Tom Cruise. And in it, they've got some Messerschmitts and a couple of freighters that Hitler's flying around in. And you see real airplanes, and it's devastatingly real, right, compared to CGI. Even Raiders of the Lost Ark, not Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and they've got a couple of German fighters in it, and they're really flying around. It's super impressive over CGI.
Yeah, and I know, not that I'm a super fan of Christopher Nolan's, although all those movies I'm pretty sure are pretty good. I just haven't seen them all, but he is not a proponent of CGI at all. If anything, he does probably only what you have to do on CGI, that stuff that's like physically impossible. And even at that point, he'll still do as much as he can physically.
Dude.
Kind of do a hybrid.
We should do a podcast on this. You know, going back to the beginning of cinema, there's a lot of movies out there with expansive vistas of cities and mountains and you name it. And do you know how they did that? They did double exposure, and I'm not going to explain, but I could.
Well, you could.
Well, what they would do is this. They would actually paint the scenes on glass, huge panes of glass, and they would bring in top talent to paint these mountains or cities or backgrounds in movies like Ben-Hur. And they would put like a black strip along the bottom.
How big was this glass, roughly?
Well, it depended upon the shot they were going to do, right? But I would say they would be as big as a blackboard, right?
I actually have a friend, Chuck. Shout out to Chuck. I guess he was born here. He's around your age. He was a friend of mine at my last company I worked for. He actually ended up growing up in L.A., and I think he said he might have been neighbors with, like, Richard Dawson. But he's got a lot of good stories, and he wants to come on the podcast. He's actually watched all of them. So shout out to Chuck if you're
Bro,
watching.
Why would you interrupt my flow about Chuck when I'm talking about double exposures?
Well, because he'll be very knowledgeable about this as well.
Here's what we're going to do. You know how we have our whiteboard where we jot a few ideas down before we start the podcast, right? You know, or stuff we want to cover. We've got like 10 things on the whiteboard.
We didn't even get to one of them yet.
No, I know.
Which is great.
Well, that's fine. But because you're so fabulously ADD, you need what I like to call a pad and a pen. So like when I'm riffing, you could write it down. Then when I wrap it up, you could go to it. What do you think?
No problem.
You look mad now. Are you mad because I said that?
Do I look mad?
You look a little mad. You're like, nub. You're not the boss of me.
Look, whatever works. I think you do need to let the other person finish their thought. I think actually that's the way to go.
Yes, but you're committing mortal and venial sins by compounding your sin by you constantly interrupt me. But so hold on. Are you saying that I interrupt?
No, I'm saying
you interrupt.
If I hear something that I can feed off of, I want to say the thought before I forget it.
That's why you write it down if it's a non sequitur. That's a non sequitur.
That's why that's a good idea. That's why I actually agree with you.
I don't mind when you're like, hey, I was out the other night, and then you step in and go, oh, you came out of the closet? Like, I'm good with that. Right? But, when they're non sequitur, it fucks up my head.
All right. Well, we can go back. You're talking about your panels of glass as big as a blackboard.
I'm done with it. I'm done with it. You've diffused me.
So now you just want to. Okay. So let's actually.
Oh no! Forget it. Don't look at the board because we're going to go to iced tea.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
All right. I really want to go to this.
And this is actually how we wanted to start the podcast. With this
I really can't stand this guy. He is such a piece of doo-doo. It's not even funny. And I don't give a shit how many of you people out there write in or respond to the podcast about Ice-T and you think he's some great icon of popular culture in rap. When he first came on the scene and pissed all over the police, but he plays a cop on TV. That's where he gets all his money. He wants to live on both sides of the fence. He wants to be a badass, but believe me, you couldn't get near his house in downtown Beverly Hills. So I just turned on the Twitter. You like the Twitter, dude?
I love the Twitter.
So I'm
at Juice Giorgio, by the way.
And he is such a scumbag. His first thing is he's got this, and I'm sorry for family that's listening, he's got this throbbing, vein-engorged hard-on for people to wear masks because he's convinced that's what's going to make the COVID go away. And his thing is dumb fucks of the day. And he's retweeting something from that jackass Rex Chapman, who used to be really, really funny. And now
what happened to him?
He turned into a real political dick brain.
Because you turned me on to him.
Dude,
originally.
I loved him. He was funny. He had doggies on there. And now it's like Florida anti-maskers invade a Target. They think it's funny.
Anti-maskers?
Yeah. So it's like 16, 17-year-old kids, right? Now, are they like the animals that you see that are typically in Target, knocking, stealing shit, knocking kiosks over, knocking stock over, throwing gallons of milk, doing dives, down the aisle? No, just a bunch of goofy kids, just being silly, being 16-year-olds, and Ice-T. He's such a proponent of young people and counterculture and all that. Dumb fucks of the day. If it meant anything, I'd actually tweet back to him. He's such a rebel. He's such a killer rebel. Is he gonna rap about it? Yo, wear your masks. I mean, give me a break.
So is that like a daily thing he does, dumb fucks of the day, or is that just he did that today and called it that?
Don't know. I just went to his site and showing some pictures of Ice Cube and John Singleton. John Singleton, he's another knucklehead. He just thinks he's
I don't even know him.
He's the... Oh, not John Singleton. What is this? Not John Singleton. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Michael Rappaport.
Oh, that idiot, yeah. Good actor. I like his work as an actor.
Oh, really? You fucking tell me what he did was so great, because please educate me. What did he do was so great? And if you say Copland, I swear to God, I'm going to take this mic and I'm going to chew it.
Actually, I love that movie. He's not in it, but a movie called Cop Out with Tracy Morgan and Bruce Willis. Kevin Smith directed that, and Stifler's in it. It's fucking hilarious. But no, Michael Rappaport, if he's on something, I might watch it.
Not at all. I think he's just an opinionated another guy. Well, he was on Friends and he was in a couple of movies.
Oh, he played Phoebe's boyfriend.
Yeah,
on Friends for a
and now
when he was young.
He's special now, and he knows sports and all. I mean, but these guys, I'm tired of people. I don't mind that everybody. Look, there's an old saying. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Some just smell more than others, right? So, I'm fine that he has an opinion, but when they give their opinion, only their opinion counts, right? They're the smartest guys in the room. Anything that anybody else has to say is just stupid, and the minute they start talking, they're already in the attack zone.
Yeah, well, that's the best part about any of this. If they're very opinionated, like, who I really like in Wolf of Wall Street? Your boy Rob Reiner. When he's the father, he's DiCaprio's father. Couldn't have been any funnier in that role. Like, obviously it's not a comedy movie, but his lines are so fucking funny, and his delivery. But then in real life, you look on his Twitter feed, and he's a fucking... I don't even know what to say about him. It's not good.
I'm not going to lose your thought on Rob Reiner. How do you like this lighting? Is it too severe?
We might want to turn it up a little bit, a tad.
You want to turn it up a little bit?
A tad.
What, the background lighting?
Just a tad.
Whoa, hold on. How about?
We'll go back and we'll watch it on the TV.
I kind of like it.
We'll see how it looks on
I think
screen.
it's a little too sharp. I can change that light. But let me tell you something about Rob Reiner. He's actually a very, very talented guy, but he's also the luckiest guy in the world.
Right, his dad.
He
was born into it.
Carl Reiner. And Carl Reiner was funny, right? Don't get me wrong.
He worked a lot with Mel Brooks, right?
Yeah, look, that's the funny guy.
Right.
I mean, we could spend a whole night.
He was in the right room at the right time.
I would actually do what do you call it?
Mel Brooks watch along? Yeah.
I would do with the super flamboyant musical The Producers. I love that fucking movie. And that's right, folks. I actually like it. So if you're going to say something and write in and say, oh, the Nub's the gayest guy I ever met, well, bring it on. Because I don't care. I thought the music was great. I think his tongue-in-cheek is fantastic. He's got a lot of inside jokes. It's not for everybody except the planet. He made a fortune on Broadway with it, on TV. In the movies, it's fabulous. And it's a remake. The Producers play... And the movie is a remake of a movie he made called The Producers with Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel in 1967. And it was hilarious. And weird.
I liked when it was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. It was like a side story arc on one of the seasons of Curb, probably about 15 years ago. But he basically hires. Speaking of Friends, he hires Schwimmer to play one of them, and he hires Larry David.
Yeah.
But Mel Brooks essentially casts Larry David because he thinks he's gonna suck, and because he wants to stop doing the show, right?
So he's doing he's actually doing
self-sabotage.
A producer.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing of The Producers. So he hires Larry because Larry's gonna suck, and he doesn't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, and then
that's great.
And then
that's great.
Opening that on Broadway.
Great.
Opening night on Broadway in the show, Larry totally bombs at one point, but then he does improv. Right. He kind of breaks character, does improv, eventually remembers his lines. He freezes and then he starts improving, and the audience gives it a standing ovation. And Mel Brooks went from jumping up and down and cheering when he froze, and then when he got the audience back And the crowd just started going wild. And Mel Brooks did one of the things my godfather did. He was like, no.
Yeah, that's that's the whole story of the producers, right? For those of you who don't know, an accountant and a Broadway producer come up with a scheme to do a play that fails on the first night because they sell 100% of the play to 100 different investors. 100 different people can't own 100% of a play. So if it fails, they get to keep all the money. If it does well, you get to go to jail. Right? Because they swindled all those people. And that's the whole premise of the producers. They make a play which has got to flop. Springtime for Hitler. It's 1967. It's 22 years after World War II. Yeah, it's definitely going to fail. And it's an actual satirical, fantastic hit.
Yeah,
Hey, don't be afraid to have dead air. Why are you so afraid of dead air?
I'm not afraid of dead air, but I did.
Do you think Joe Black's going to walk in here and take our lives?
I did have a thought to add to that. I actually enjoyed the Curb Your Enthusiasm version, even though obviously it was fictional, but it was fun. And there was a lot of conflict between Larry and Schwimmer, and I think one of the side issues, because you know how like Larry David always finds issues in everything. And he was complaining that I think Schwimmer's dad was like selling mixed nuts, and he was complaining.
Oh yeah.
He was complaining to Schwimmer.
Cashews. Yeah.
So, what do you?
So, one of our recurring jokes will be reading Trump tweets.
Are you going to read them like Dennis or Randy Quaid reads them on Twitter?
No, I don't have a strobe light. And for those of you out there who don't follow Dennis Quaid's brother, Insane Randy Quaid, on Twitter, you should.
He's become the character from Independence Day, like in real life.
No doubt. He's completely neurotic, shot out. You've got to check it out.
But he's very pro-Trump, and whether you hate Trump or love Trump, you just got to follow Randy Quaid on Twitter. It's so insane.
So Donald J. Trump is retweeting. Jim Cramer apologized to Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I made a very stupid comment. I guess that Cramer, that weakling, said something, and now he wants to take it back.
I think he said Crazy Nancy,
yeah,
like on the air.
And now he's sorry. Well, you know what? He shouldn't be sorry. He said it. He meant to say it. He thought about it. He had a show come up, and I'm reading the Donald J. Trump tweet, which is, Jim, you didn't make a mistake. It's true. And that's why you said it. No pandering.
I love it. I saw that. I thought it was hilarious. I could picture you actually looking at that and laughing.
He doesn't have any great funny any really good funny ones today. He's been a little bit on the serious side lately. I like it when he says things like this. Joe Biden has just one thing to say and it ain't good. Listen to this, and it's an ad with Biden. Probably espousing the virtues of China. And Donald J. Trump says, China is drooling. They can't believe this. So that's it on tweets tonight. He didn't provide us with a lot of content.
He's got the comedic timing down for sure. If you remember those debates with Hillary when she said something or another, and he goes, because you'd be in jail.
Bro, do you think that, do you think he does his own tweeting, or do you think he has people vet it before it goes out?
I think it's both. I think sometimes...
Do you think he gets so hot, he's like, fuck this?
Yeah, because a lot of times, if you look at his tweets, there's like grammar errors, and then he takes them down and fixes the fucking grammar error and reposts it.
Well, he doesn't take them down. Somebody else
might take it. Probably, yeah, right. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think when there's a grammar error, there's no doubt it's coming from his...
Are you saying grammar error or grandma?
Grandma error?
Which is it? Is it a grammar error or a grandma error?
Is it a driveway or a driveway?
I think it's a driveway, which comes to termination at my street or my street. Which one is it? Coming from New Jersey, what would you say, street or street?
I would say Dracula.
You would say Dracula? Is that J-R-A?
Right.
How do you even spell Dracula?
You got to really sound it out.
Dude, you know what freaked me out? I swear to God, I'm not making this up. And as a little piece of minutia that nobody cares about, but I haven't forgotten since I was 8. We used to get these models from a company called Aurora, these little plastic models, right? And they could be boats or planes or cars, and a lot of them that we used to get were like the Universal monsters, like Frankenstein and Dracula, right? And you would build them and paint them, and it kept you quiet for like 3 days. And I remember, getting Dracula, right? And it came with a little plaque that went in the front of the stand. And I'm like, wait a minute, why is it D-R-A? Shouldn't it be G-H-R-A, Dracula? And that's when I realized what a shitty New Jersey accent I had.
Well, especially growing up in Newark, that's like a whole different type of special Jersey accent, right? The hard Newark accent that my father had in spades for sure.
I think the entire Santini family had a super heavy New Jersey Newark accent. I do like on TV when people come from Newark, all of a sudden they're like really stupid. They come from Newark and then they got this crazy fucking accent.
What is that, like a Scarface?
Yeah, I never heard that accent, But I do like the there's tons of Newark references all the time. Like Men in Black, their place was in Newark.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was in Newark, New Jersey. Hey, you were talking before about, and you flipped my mind, but it just came back to it, on CGI versus real figures and using puppets. And do you know who did a spectacular job of combining both? What movie? You'll never guess what movie. It has a movie and it had a sequel. You'll never guess. Take a guess. He used a lot of puppets.
Predator? No, those are Suits.
No, those are Suits.
What about Alien?
Although we'll talk about Suits with Planet of the Apes, the original with Charlton Heston. It was a big controversy that they were supposed to get all kinds of Academy Awards for makeup, but they were like, no, those are masks and not really makeup. But anyway, I digress. No, Hellboy and Hellboy the Golden Army. Did you watch either one of those, or are you not a fan?
I caught the first one probably back when it first came out. They did a reboot, right? What the hell happened with that?
Oh my God, the fucking reboot was absolutely the biggest waste of dare I say celluloid. Hopefully they didn't commit it to celluloid. It's digital and they could just get that hard drive space back. The Hellboy character?
Are you telling me it's not worth the storage that the fucking files are on?
Dude, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's hilarious.
Dude, the Hellboy character looked like a legit junkie. He just looked like a big red junkie. And it didn't have any of the comic value or the, otherworldliness or, the crossing between evil and good, because it's Satan's son, right? Hellboy comes from Satan, but is fighting on the side of good,
so
right?
I know next to absolutely nothing about Hellboy, so you're teaching
homework.
me.
You got homework.
Yeah.
You've got to watch Ron Perlman.
Who, by the way, another
Hellboy.
outspoken guy on Twitter that I look at his personal opinions, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but it just turns me off. Like watching the shit he says.
Wait, is he like a super wild libertarian?
Take away the Tarian and replace it with super wild liberal.
He's a super liberal.
Mm-hmm.
I love people that are super liberal who have millions and millions of dollars. They're totally disconnected. And for the rest of the world, they're going to dictate how everything should be. It's funny because the word liberal means liberating.
Right. They kind of hijacked that word.
But what they really want to do is was it Thomas Jefferson? The government that governs least governs best. Right. Not for them.
And there's a saying that you're probably familiar with. If you're like an old school kind of patriotic, think for yourself for a small government, that's called Thomas Jefferson liberal, because that's what being a liberal was back in that time period. And then over the years, the word just kind of, got hijacked, whatever you want to say. But it doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Dude, look at that label. That's a beautiful label. Zoom in on my label. Can you zoom in or no?
I
the
can't.
label.
I can't.
You can't? That's weak, bro.
I would have to cut away from you, zoom in.
Nah, don't do it. It's the Reserva Real. It's a beautiful royal blue with gold. Romeo and Julieta. I got to start saving these. They are just fabulous. Fabulous
Smells
labeled.
good.
It's
Good smelling
it's a fabulous. It's a fabulous product. If I order another box of Padrones, the Divine Miss M will actually slash my tires.
You're gonna have to start shipping those to my address.
Dude, I might have to.
I'm gonna just have to bring them over one by one.
Hey, bro, how long have we been going so far? Can you give me a time count?
We've been going for about. I want to say we started at about 10 after 7.
And where are we at now?
It's about 5 of 8.
Hey, you know what? Can we talk a little bit about our last podcast and critique it?
Sure, shoot.
So, folks that are out there and are good enough to view what Juice and I are doing here. Look, this is a hobby. We're trying to have some fun, and I think that we are. I actually look very, very, very forward to our podcast night, and we're probably going to drop a podcast at least once a week, and it's going to be under the label of Rubbing the Rhubarb. And when you listen to Rubbing the Rhubarb, it will always be the juice and the nub. Always.
At a minimum.
At a minimum. At a minimum. At a minimum.
And then just for clarification, we came to an agreement today. This is episode 5 of Rubbing the Rhubarb, but that includes a few episodes I did for my own studio at the crib. So for now on, shows that I do, working title will be the Public Fucking Podcast. Maybe I shouldn't have fucking in the title of my podcast, but
dude, it's your world.
I'll figure out a name for it. But Rubbing the Rhubarb will strictly be the show that takes place here at the Donnie Crystal Lounge.
Hey, Juice, let me ask a question. Is alcohol and cigars always going to be a part of the podcast?
I don't want to put myself in a corner and say, yeah, I like having the option, but it certainly works out for you. I think it puts you more in a conversational kind of a mood, and I think you really, it's really like you're at the cigar lounge shooting the shit with people.
Do you think?
And it makes it, I think, a little more authentic.
Are you saying that there's this guy, his name is the Nub, who's okay, he's a good guy, but 2-drink Nub knocks it out of the park? Is that what you're saying?
It's fun. I think 0-drink Nub would knock it out of the park too, but I think when you do the drink and you do the cigar, it kind of puts you in a different maybe a different mindset, maybe a different frame of mood.
I'm not gonna lie,
but it certainly works.
I do like the cigar. Hey, weird thing, by the way. We're gonna get back to critiquing the podcast in a second. Do you know I only started smoking cigars maybe about 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, you've definitely taken on to it.
Yeah, and
that's for sure.
Drinking too. I never really drank until about all through my 30s, 40s, and into my 50s, you could put a 6-pack of beer in my refrigerator. It could sit there for a year.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, I don't know, have a beer. And now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have 2 beers. I do have work tomorrow,
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
But anyway, let's get back to critiquing. And what I wanted to say about the last podcast is a couple of things. Folks, I'm not really enamored with the background, right? I mean, it is what it is. I think we should change the background. And I think we need...
we could green screen it if you want. Just an option. Just thinking out loud.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because everybody who's doing Zoom today, they have
right. I know exactly what
Archie
you're talking
Bunker's house, or a fictitious office, and again, it looks super fake. I don't like it. So maybe we'll put some artwork up. I don't know. Certainly want to get rid of the air conditioner in the back. That makes it look like we're doing not the proper Donnie Crystal Lounge.
Yeah, I think the Donnie Crystal Lounge might want to look a little loungier for the camera.
Yeah, I think you're
right. But we'll get there.
I think and you know what? I think we will get there.
Hey, 1 week ago, we didn't even know what the fuck this show was.
Right.
So yes. I think there's priorities. I think there's a pecking order, and I think sort of figuring out what the show is the most important thing, and then executing that, and then the production can always get better. We will always deliver more once we get our. What I like to say is get our podcasting feet under us.
Yeah, I think we will, and I think that production values will increase. I think we need. I'm certainly going to break out my Blue Yeti microphone. I need a micro USB to XLR connector. Those won't be the easiest thing to find. I found that out. So I need to get that.
Well, have you tried to plug it into the mixer? Maybe.
How can I need an interface to plug it into? Right now, it's micro USB to USB. There's no USB connection to the Pro FX soundboard.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is, I found that I actually thought that I was talking too much in the last podcast, and I think I was talking too fast. I'm deliberately trying to slow down. I think I talk a little too quick. I almost sound like a 1930s movie.
I think that's not just Jersey, but I think the Northeast in general, we can tend to speak at a higher tempo. I think people from the South and maybe the West Coast and Midwest talk a little slower.
I do. I don't want to alienate our brothers out on the West Coast or people in the Bible Belt, that's for sure. I wouldn't mind alienating everybody in Illinois.
Well, let's not crucify the state of Illinois because of one county, Cook County.
Okay,
right?
Can we crucify Seattle, Washington?
Oh, absolutely. And again, I've never been to Washington. You've been to Seattle numerous times. I think you're a regular at the Oyster Place on the water.
Yeah. Oh God. Wow. That was. I'm trying to remember the
well
name
before
of that
Chaz
place.
and Chop.
Oh my God! It was a great oyster place. You could sit out right off the highway.
But you were going there so much at one point. You had like a designated place.
Yeah.
Did you become friendly with like the staff there?
Just a couple of the bartenders. Not as friendly as shout out to the great folks at Havana 59 in beautiful downtown.
Is that the Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a great! The food on a scale of 1 to 10 was probably 7, 8,
which is
fine.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not peeing on that, but the great thing is that you could actually act like a man and go in there and have a drink and a cigar and have your dinner. You could drink and smoke at the bar, drink and smoke at your table. It was and let me tell you something.
How was the ventilation?
Well, in the winter, as well as could be expected. In the summer, these garage-type doors would raise up.
I know exactly what you mean.
Open. But here's the thing, man. For all you people out there, for all you racist assholes out there that think that blacks and whites don't get together and talk and bullshit, can I tell you how many black guys, because I would go there with a pad and do a little sketching, sit at the bar with my head down, smoke my cigar, not trying to bring attention to myself. And can I tell you how many black guys would come over and start a conversation and, be absolutely open, nothing like you see on TV.
It's not what the mainstream wants you to believe.
Dude. It's not the narrative that's really out there. I think anyway that they want to say is wholesale, right? And not that I was being a shut-in. I would go in there, and all I would have to do is just look up and say, "Hey, how's it going?" Good. How's it going with you? And these guys were just, whoever was in there, Hispanic, black, white, green, blue, all having, and the girls would be in there as well, of varied nationalities and all. Never a loud voice, never a punch thrown. Hey, let me get you a drink? And you could sit there, and I would get there and sit there after work. A lot of times I would bring customers there, and when the customers would leave, I'd hang out from, let's say, 7 o'clock until it closed, right? And the worst part was trying to get an Uber back to my my hotel room. I usually stayed at the Berkeley Hotel with a quick pit stop at City Dogs for a great hot dog. But that's a whole nother podcast. We should do a whole podcast on hot dogs.
Oh, we could do that easily.
But again, you're right. Not the narrative that ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN would have you believe that we're at each other's throats. We can't get along. We don't understand them. They don't understand us. Not at all. Not one little bit.
Well, shout out to the great and legendary Nick DiPaolo, who's probably my favorite comic right now in the game and podcaster, besides obviously us. But he just moved to Savannah, Georgia. He was living in Westchester for probably the last 15 to 20 years or so, and he just moved to Savannah about a year and a half ago, and he loves it down there. And he was saying, actually, he's almost every episode, he goes on 4 days a week. Pretty much what you just said, he says almost every day, because I think he's got a little bit of a following. He gets about 50,000 views a show, and he lets his audience know how it really, just like you did, how it really is. And it couldn't be any more of the opposite from these fucking scumbags.
Hey, I don't know.
In the media, you know?
Maybe it's me. Maybe I live in a special bubble where everybody I run into are pretty nice to me, you know? And I got to tell you what. Give it a shot, folks. If you're white or black, or yellow or green or blue or orange, or as they say in the Marines, if you're green or dark green. You know, a lot of times I'll go into a fast food restaurant in the city, inner city, and the person behind the counter, they're just shitty. Can I help you? And
Shitty at their job.
no, just shit.
Or shit person.
They seem like a shit person.
Right, okay.
Try this. And I've done this every time, and every time I get the same reaction. Can I help you? Whether it's a guy or a girl. And I'm like, what? What, no smile? And the first thing they do is this. They're good people. They're good. I think, first of all, they're working, right? They're not robbing banks or hijacking airplanes. They're behind the counter. They're working. So they have an idea of what's right and wrong. And I think once you break through that manufactured veneer that other people have forced on them, I think you're going to find, like, I don't know, normal human beings. Is that... Am I being Pollyanna? Am I being too...
That's crazy talk. Don't talk to George Stephanopoulos that way. That's fucking crazy, man.
I hate George Stephanopoulos. Hey, George, why don't you come on my podcast, you little squirt? Let me tell you something. What you did last night with the president, you're just a Democratic shill. Is that your job? Is your job to expose thoughts and ideas and talk about, trying to help the audience understand things? Or is your job to play stump the chump, right? I can't even believe that the president gave you an opportunity, and then you took that opportunity. Instead of being a moderator, asking questions, all you did was dig, and not dig in a positive fashion. You played, let me try and stump the chump. But I think he got fooled because he walked into the lion's den, and when he's in the lion's den, he was like he opened up his shirt and said, "Here I am, right? I personally don't think the president should have done that.
He had to have known they were going to do their best to fuck with him.
Yes, and what I think he said is this. Okay, I just did an hour with you big swinging dick. Now let's see Biden do that without losing track of where his shoes were.
Without pre-written questions, right? Because that's what he does. You know that, right?
I don't care if his questions are... Well, I don't care if the questions
the crowd is supposed to come from the crowd. I'm saying, and they hand the crowd pre-written questions for Biden. Of course.
Here's some thoughts for you.
Can you imagine if Trump did that? Not to get too fucking political.
I don't want to be...
We're just talking about the double standard. That's all.
Dude, if you're going to talk about double standard, go back to that creep... Donna Brazile,
right,
giving Clinton the questions ahead of time, right? She's such a shit, and now she's the media darling for the DNC.
She's on Fox News.
Yeah, I didn't even want to give him a plug. I can't believe you just plugged Fox News for having Donna Brazile on. Hey, Fox News, don't do us any favor. Nobody wants to see Donna Brazile. You already have, what's that guy's name? Juan
Williams.
You got Juan Williams,
on the 5.
Who, look. Kudos to Juan Williams. He knows his job, and he executes accordingly.
You need a dissenting opinion, but this guy's off his rocker, for sure.
Who, Juan Williams?
Yeah, the shit he says.
No, he's not. I don't think he is at all. He's there to provide an alternate view, alternate opinion. Would you rather have Don Lemon, or as most people call him, Don Lemon?
Lemon, that's Tucker. He calls him that, right?
Does he? Calls him Don Lemon?
Yeah. No, I understand you need a dissenting point of view, which is, a lot of people that want to shit on Fox News, it's, it's Trump's network, whatever, blah, blah, blah. At least Fox has a dissenting point of view. You will go to CNN or MSDNC.
Look.
And it's like 8 liberals and one neocon who's like a never Trumper.
If anybody listens to anything on CNN, I can't even say welcome to the echo chamber. And I'm going to tell you why. When you had an idiot on the air and a chevron on the bottom, the guy is standing in the middle of a riot, the city is burning, and that moron says, fiery but peaceful demonstrations for the most part. Are you an idiot? How can you have a fiery yet peaceful demonstration? I mean, that's beyond ridiculous. It's frustrating, and if you think you're going to get straight news or opinion, give me a break. But I will tell you what, you were about to say something. I want to talk about Ted Koppel.
Yeah, sure.
No, go ahead. You had a thought.
All I was going to say, just in addition, how far can you warp reality and get away with calling yourself a news channel? That's what I want to know. Well, at what point are you allowed to call yourself news?
Well, here's what Ted Koppel said. I saw Ted Koppel in person. And he said the old news, right, let's say in the mid-'90s and below, was the thought was we have to tell people what they need to know. Now
that's already slanted.
Well, no, what they need to know. Here's what's going on.
But who defines?
Here's what we see.
My point is,
I
who
guess
defines
it would be
need to know, right? That's my point.
Well, they were real. Look, yellow journalism existed way before Hearst. It went back to our founding fathers. I think Jefferson took out a full-page ad and called his rival, a thespian. Nobody knew what that was, and they were like, he's a fucking thespian. So yellow journalism existed forever. But I think, like what Ted Koppel was saying, we told them what they needed to know. There's a ship sinking in New York Harbor with 1 billion gallons of fuel. And now, he said, what it switched to is telling people what they want to know, what they want to hear. And it's you've got to do critical thinking. And are you listening to opinion or news? And I would say that, 85% of the time you're listening to opinions, not news.
And again, for the people out there that shit on Fox News, their 3 top shows, Tucker, Hannity, and Ingram, they tell you that they're opinion shows.
Right.
That's one of the biggest differences between Fox and the other channels, whereas they present themselves as news when it's 100% opinion. At least on Fox, they tell you that ahead of time. So I do give them credit for that. You want to call me a Fox fanboy or whatever, I don't think there's a comparison in terms of getting information. And I verify everything too. I don't believe it just because it's on Fox. I still do my own research. I think everybody should do their own research.
Dude, who was the guy who got fired from some sports position because he had a One America News t-shirt
are you thinking of one of the college football coaches? Yeah. I forget which team. I think it was Oklahoma.
He got fired.
He didn't get fired, but they
sanctioned him.
They tried to embarrass him, and he had to make like a public apology. And the kid that he offended was not even American. The kid was Canadian. But that's what I love too, when Canadians come here and they want to try to tell people how to think. Isn't that swell?
You're going to get into a whole
Am I prying
Viper
into the
basket.
hornet's nest?
Yeah, because now you're going to make me talk again like I talked the last time about Kenneth Branagh, the great actor who loves to shit all over America in his movies. We should do a whole podcast, like one of my favorite movies, Shaving Ryan's Privates.
Right.
I mean, Saving Private Ryan, where Spielberg did his little secret message about how America turned a blind eye to the plight of the Jews during World War II and could have done something, but they didn't. And he did that, and we're not stupid. They did that in the scene where the Jew is slowly stabbing the American soldier, and the Nazis just go, trying to cover his mouth, going, shh, be quiet, shh, shh. and and there's an American soldier behind the wall in the next room who is just frozen, doesn't do anything. Hey, Steven Spielberg, we get it, right? We get your shitty message. So thanks for dumping on all the Americans, and I get it. You wrapped it around the American flag with the whole movie, which was fabulous. Don't get me wrong.
Great filmmaker,
right? Great filmmaker, but we're not lost on your little secret messages. Speaking of movies with no secret messages.
Oh, I was about to dive into that
Good.
rabbit hole. What about all the sexual innuendos in all the Disney cartoons? Are you aware of that? There's a lot.
Yeah, I saw something.
It's very Googleable, if that's a word.
No. I saw that, and they're innuendo jokes, right? They're very high level. You got to kind of really look for them. Innuendo jokes, and one of them was like in Toy Story. Some other toy grabs Mrs. Potato Head's mouth and like pulls it off the potato, goes pulls it off, and then the Don Rickles Mr. Potato Head runs over and grabs the mouth back and says, I take her mouth." Right? So, and we get it, right? I mean that's.
Well, I've been going really deep into the whole Epstein, if you want to call it a wormhole or a rabbit hole or whatever. And a lot of that Disney innuendo shit, and they show tons of examples on it. If you just watch almost any Epstein documentary, it'll tie into the Hollywood pedophilia stuff. And it could be coincidence, could be whatever it is, but there's a lot of questionable shit that goes on, even in the like the Lion King, Aladdin, Little Mermaid. There's like cocks that they draw.
Come on now. Little Mermaid and cocks. What do you?
But that, if you think about the whole pedophilia stuff, that totally makes sense. Definitely ties into it.
Dude, do me a favor. And I'm going to speak to you directly.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about dick jokes in Walt Disney cartoons. Worry about this jerk off in California who's trying to pass a law so that...
I heard he signed it. I heard he signed off on it.
He signed off on it. It's not law. They're fighting it. So the law that we're talking about makes it okay for there to be like a 10-year disparity between you and your victim. So in other words, what they're saying is...
Up to the age of 18.
What do you mean, up to the age of 18?
Like, you could be 27 with a 17-year-old. And you know what I mean? That's like the oldest.
So in other words, here's what you want to do. If you're a sicko, what you want to do is start grooming your little boy at 15, right? And the minute he turns 18, hold on, what are you talking about? 18, you're an adult at 18.
Right. I'm saying if you're 18,
no.
you
What
can get
they
with
were
an 8-year-old.
what they were saying, I was listening to a senator today saying that
state,
this is 24-year-olds.
Just for clarification, a state level senator or like a okay.
A 24-year-old can be fucking around with a 14-year-old.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Not an 18-year-old.
But if you're 18, you could fuck around with an 8-year-old. You know what I mean? That's like the outlier of it. That's like one of the extreme ends of that permissible act.
I don't even know why it's even coming up as a fucking law and who would get behind it.
The only thing within reason, when I was in high school, I was about a year and a half older than my girlfriend. So at one point, I was 18 when she was 16, but we were dating for a couple of years.
Yeah, but you were 17, she was 16.
Right.
And I even
there was like a few month eclipse where I was only on paper 1 year older than her.
I said to the Divine Miss M, because what they're hiding behind is the fact that they're trying to protect, like these stupid kids that do stupid kid stuff. And if it's a 2 or 3 year difference with teenagers, let the judge decide that. But when you have a 24-year-old guy who at 20 is starting to groom an 11-year-old, fuck you. And what is he doing? Is he grooming that person for somebody else? Give me a break. And here's what they say.
It's disgusting.
Well, if you watch your kids, you're not going to have a problem anyway. Hey, you know what? That's bullshit. Because do you know how many single parent families there are out there where they don't have the benefit of, the time or the other parent to help there, and curate and watch that individual, and these these kids that might be looking for another adult, and they look for the adults for comfort and guidance and discipline, and you got some creep who's grooming them. That's sort of, how did we get so heavy into this? Can we go back to
and you think about
talking
too,
Dune?
All the fucking problems in California with their state economy and these unstoppable wildfires they keep having, where someone actually took the music from Blade Runner 2049 last week and set it against like 2 minutes worth of video footage from San Francisco with like the orange sky, and it looked like a sci-fi movie. They have problems like that, and they're worried about passing legislation to protect pedophiles.
I like when Arnold was the governor there. Yeah, I promise non-stop fires and earthquakes, and we'll get everybody to the chopper.
He was a neocon piece of work, huh?
I'm a gigantic Arnold fan. I think now that he's old, he's like Mr. Super Liberal. Again,
he was like a liberal Republican as governor.
Right.
And both sides still hated him.
Hey, let me ask you a question. When is Wesley Snipes going to step up?
Pays taxes?
Nah, he pays them now. When is he going to step up and say, "Hey, assholes, enough with the black cat superhero"?
Oh, well, first of all...
Oh, no. Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
I was the first.
Right.
And by the way, Blade,
awesome.
Those 3 movies...
fucking great.
...were killer. They were Wesley Snipes was a badass superhero. How did he disappear? They won't even mention Blade or his name. All they want to talk about is... what's that stupid movie?
Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Well, now especially because shout out to the late Chadwick Boseman who passed away, but that's
actually he was a pretty good actor.
He actually was a good actor.
I like him as James Brown. Yow!
But you're just being dishonest with yourself. You're not lying to me. You're lying to yourself. If you're going to tell anybody, including you, but you're fucking lying to yourself if you're going to tell me that Black Panther isn't overrated. That's probably one of the most overrated superhero comic book movies of all time.
Come on. Well, you're missing my point. I don't care that it's overrated. I don't care about the movie. I care about
because we're talking about the first mainstream black superhero.
The first mainstream film was Chris Christopherson and Wesley Snipes killing it.
I'm in agreement with you that I consider the first black action superhero in a movie to be Blade.
And let me help you out with something.
And I just think it was a way better movie than Black Panther. Am I wrong?
No, it's way better.
Is it okay to think like that? Because
yes, it's okay to think like that.
Some people want to make me think I'm crazy.
Wait, you're going to tell me you can't have one opinion over another? You can't tell me that you think that the Kane
I like green better than red?
Yeah. Well, no, it has nothing. No, see, you're bringing color into color. Has nothing to do with it. What I'm saying is they're talking about the first black superhero that went mainstream in cinema. There might have been one before Blade and the Blade trilogy. By the way, folks, when I say trilogy, they did 3 movies. Now, I think the last one was okay. I thought the first one was out of sight.
I just rewatched the first one recently.
Because, dude, not only is it a superhero, it's horror. They mix superhero and horror together.
It's awesome. And that's Marvel, by the way, too. But that was before Marvel movies were such a big thing.
By the way, I'd like to talk about Interview with a Vampire. That was a great fucking movie. But
while we're on the vampire,
but you keep bringing up Marvel, and
well, it's just because
can anything ever top Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man?
Spider-Man 2 was phenomenal.
Actually, I was reading a thing about sequels. And, of course, you had Godfather 2, you had...
T2.
T2, which was unreal. You had...
Empire.
The Empire Strikes Out.
Well, that's what they're doing now.
No, it's totally fucking striking out. It made me lose my train of thought. What was the other...
Those are probably the 3 biggest sequels of all time.
But by the way, no. You're not a fan, but Hellboy and the Golden Army was incredible.
But is it a top 10 sequel?
Yeah, they consider it a top 10 sequel. They do. They consider it a top 10 sequel.
Sure.
Whoever they are. Hey, are we ever going to talk? We're ever going to do an entire podcast on movies from the golden age of Hollywood.
Now, did you want to talk about Interview with the Vampire or no? Because you did bring it up, so.
So I want to talk about it in the context of two things. You're going to love the way I swing this around. Are you guys out there? You sitting down? Hey, put the camera on me, motherfucker. Watch how I swing this around. You're going to love it. Interview with the Vampire. Anne Rice, who wrote Interview with the Vampire, did not want Tom Cruise to play Lestat. He's not the right guy. Lestat is dirty, evil, freaky. We don't think Tom Cruise, he's too handsome, cute, could pull it off. He was incredible as Lestat in Interview with the Vampire. And people said, oh, he's going to do this movie. It's going to be like Poopy Cocky. And it turned out to be an incredible movie. Incredible book, incredible movie. Now watch this, folks. Watch how I swing this around.
I bet it still holds up, too, in 2020.
Watch it now. Watch it now. But I need a pad, too, for my ideas. But watch how I swing this around, folks. What's the name of the guy who's going to be the new Batman?
Pattinson.
What's his whole name? Full name?
Rob Pattinson.
Rob Pattinson. When I heard this, you, me, and anybody walking and talking were like, Rob Pattinson, a teenage idol, he's milquetoast, I don't like, how could he do it? He's never going to be a good Batman. Dude, let's talk about the trailer.
Well, and again, real quick, to another shout out to one of my other idols, the great Joe Rogan, who I went back and I watched his first podcast.
Stop kissing Joe Rogan's ass, but go ahead.
Also from Newark, New Jersey.
Only kidding, Joe.
I went and I rewatched his first couple of podcasts just to see how it looked over 10 years ago.
Compared to us?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of...
how do we stack up, bro?
Production-wise, we're right there with him on his first on his first couple of episodes.
By the way, word has it from the industry that our audio is phenomenal.
It is.
But our video is like blowing a guy. It's just not that much fun.
Yeah, well, shout out to Rockwell Audio, because they're very reasonably priced and the quality is really outstanding. And they actually helped me put together the setup.
Bro,
so,
can we swing back?
But no, just real quick though. So one of the things Joe Rogan talked about on his first podcast, it was about 2009. He was just talking about some of the problems with America. It wasn't like a shitting on America thing, but he was just pointing out, he goes, we have vampires that don't bite, but that was about Rob Pattinson.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was going,
wait, vampires that don't bite, but they suck.
Exactly.
Got it.
So I think it's safe to say though, when we watched this trailer that dropped about a month ago for the Batman, we were pretty blown the fuck away. And I think it's because our expectations were inches away from the floor. They were so low.
You're good at that. You're like, Nub, I'm going to go see this movie with no fucking expectation. And you get blown away. That happened to me. You ready? This is because I'm ancient. The Divine Miss N dragged me to the theater. And again, this is coming from a gigantic movie fan, to see a movie called Christmas Story.
Oh,
and dude, I saw it in the movies, and I was like jumping up and down out of my seat like a little kid. But please, can we swing back to Lestat, Tom Cruise, not a good fit, knocks it out of the park, and Rob Pattinson, and what we just saw in like a 30-second trailer? He looks amazing.
Oh, it looks great. And I wasn't even, when I saw like the screen test, they did like
that's revenge.
I'm vengeance.
I'm vengeance.
Because how many times have we heard I'm Batman?
Yeah, exactly correct. And you know what? Here's the thing. After the Dark Knight series, how are you nobody could come in and start talking like that.
Right. And then,
what are you doing? Why are you flopping the screen around like that? What are you looking at?
I don't know how that happened. Computers. Let's see here. Yeah.
Don't be afraid of the dead air. By the way, my new favorite movie I just watched is Meet Joe Black. I think it was
never caught it.
Oh, you got to watch it. That's with that sweet piece of ass Brad Pitt.
He's a good one.
Was that like super gay when I said that?
Wasn't gay enough.
Wasn't gay enough.
You got to go. You know, you never go full retard, but you can go full gay.
Wait, what? Hold on. Let me think about that. What movie was that from where he says you can't go full retard?
I'll give you a hint. I'll tell you who said it. Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, that was in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
By the way, he was great in Tropic Thunder.
When someone says something really dumb on Twitter, there's like a GIF of him saying that, and like I'll just put that as a reply.
Wait, you never go full retard?
Yeah.
That's great. Dude, by the way, not to go off on a tangent on Robert Downey Jr., but I'll give you another movie that I've watched 87 times. Robert Downey Jr. in a little movie I like to call Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, you told me that was a...
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Dude.
Just not interested. Or haven't been. I'll watch it. I just haven't been... Not like a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. I'm sure it's great.
Dude.
I'm sure... I'm not saying it's probably a shitty movie at all. I just haven't caught it.
And it burned with a pinkish hue. It's really...
Are there... How many did they make? They made a series, right?
They made two.
Oh,
they made two. They made two.
I thought there might have
and
been
it
three.
was with, it's that, holy mackerel, I just got an emergency text. I think the dishwasher is broken.
Oh, no. That's heavy to find out on the podcast.
I know. Well, I have two of them, so. Yikes. Okay. Always something, right? At the end of my vacation. It couldn't happen in the beginning of the vacation.
Two dishwashers must be nice.
Well,
that's like a status thing.
I have a, this is a very disparaging term, but I have what's called a guinea kitchen. And for those of you...
Talk about those, before we were talking about the no-no words, I thought that was one of them.
So, in the Northeast, if you're first and second generation Italian, if you have a house, you really don't live on the first floor. You live in the basement. And most Italian basements are nicer than 90% of the houses out there. And you really don't go upstairs. Upstairs is for company. And you have what's called, very disparaging, a guinea kitchen. And look, I looked down when I said that. That's how bad I feel about it. You have like a stove and a dishwasher, refrigerator, washer, dryer, big screen TV. I, for one, actually have crown molding in my basement. If you could believe that I installed myself, and it looks perfect if I do say so myself. But anyway, we went way off on a tangent. That dishwasher thing just killed me. We were talking about Pattinson and Lestat, or Cruz and Lestat, and
well, you tied in.
I tied that in pretty nicely, didn't I?
Yeah, you tied in Interview with a Vampire to the new Batman movie coming out in Halloween of 2021, which I think is a killer time, because usually Batman drops in June, but because of COVID and the production delays.
Can you call it the COVID, please? I like to call it the COVID.
The COVID.
The president calls it the Chinese virus, the invisible enemy.
Where did it come from?
I think he gets a hard-on when he calls it the invisible enemy. Is he talking about the COVID, or is he talking about deep state when he talks about the invisible enemy?
Probably both.
Dude, my ears start to sweat in these headphones. I feel like my head is in a C-clamp.
There's definitely been a few times where I need to take them off and adjust, which you've seen, which I did off camera, obviously. Mm-hmm. But if you need a break from being on camera to adjust, let me know.
I'm super duper. I'm going to swing around and look at my whiteboard, and wow, we covered a lot of good stuff tonight. I don't think that we finished about really critiquing our last.
Okay, well, before we do that,
I'm not going to go back to it.
We talk about creating moments on the show, and that's really what makes it a good show is we play off each other, we can create moments. I'm going to create a moment right now.
You're not going to take your pants off, right? No nudity on this show.
It couldn't fit on the camera.
Oh, it's because it's so big, and it's funny because it's not. Go ahead.
So when we started going, unfortunately, YouTube was fucking us. Right in the
wait, on our first podcast?
No, I mean tonight.
What happened?
So unfortunately,
they kicked us off?
Unfortunately, we lost about the first 20 minutes of footage.
How?
So I created an emergency recording right after you got off the phone with Jerry. So unfortunately, all we're going to have of this is everything from right after you got off the phone with Jerry.
Oh, come on.
But hey.
So wait. All that stuff that we were live streaming is gone?
Yeah, but
it went to computer heaven?
It went to computer heaven. There might be a way to recover it if I can check on YouTube. But I just wanted to air that out in case you would like to watch it back and you're wondering why it starts 20 minutes late. But You know what I say?
Wow.
Better 20 minutes than 40 minutes or 50 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Look, I'm not going to fight with you, but did we lose all our iced tea stuff? We talked about that scumbag iced tea, and
It went out live, and then the stream dropped, so we lost it for the recording.
I get what you're saying. All right, so live it went out. We lost it on the recording. Okay,
We lost everything up to NSJ, but that only 20 minutes, no big deal. So we have been going for an hour and a half minus 20 minutes, basically.
All right. Well, you know what? We're getting down towards the end of my cigar, which is usually an hour and 40 minutes. So we're going to be wrapping up soon anyway. But did we cover off everything we wanted to talk about with the vampires? And
You tell me, because I think we're just going to segue into how fucking awesome that new Batman movie turns out to be looking.
why don't we do this? We should do, again, we need pads and
You know what we
pencils.
really lost? We talked a lot about the Suicide Squad. Not to be confused with the movie by James Gunn, who directed Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, he's got his own movie coming out called The Suicide Squad. It's like a soft reboot of Suicide Squad that came out with Jared Leto.
Well, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that it... Wait, is it all different actors?
They retained like Harley Quinn and Rick Flag and Captain Boomerang. And everybody, John Cena's in it. That cocksucker Pete Davidson's in it that I can't stand.
Who's he?
He's that kid that's on SNL, and he's like the new guy to go to for the Judd Apatow movies. It's like that little scrawny looking. He's like a stand-up comedian, but he's like a dork. He's got a Hillary Clinton tattoo. He's a fucking idiot.
Wait. Did you just say he's a grown man with a Hillary Clinton tattoo?
But did you know he was banging Ariana Grande and Kate Beckinsale? He's got to be at least 25 years younger than Kate Beckinsale.
Wait, are you sure about that?
Yeah. Look, I can't knock the guy for that. He certainly slings it. I think now he's banging Cindy Crawford's daughter. So he's getting it out there. So good for him. But yeah, he's in the new. So James Gunn.
Wait, was Kate Beckinsale aware that a scrawny little kid was banging her? Because
some people, might just be into
Can I
that.
just say something about Kate Beckinsale?
Shoot.
Just as I said earlier, if you missed it when I talked about the Enchantress, I have the same comment for the Enchantress as I do for Kate Beckinsale, which the great Nathan Lane in the movie The Producers, his quote was, "Wowie, wow, 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 rough." She is, I don't know what it is about her. She is just, there are some women, gorgeous, walking down the street, you put them on film and you're like, oh, she's a cute girl. And there are other women that just exude sexuality. Right. Can I give you one? Right now, you're not going to believe who I'm going to say. You'll never guess.
Brad Pitt.
Fucking guy got it. Out of the gate. No. Who's the chick who played Jackie Brown in the movie Jackie Brown?
I have to Google that.
God, what is her name? Pam Grier.
Oh,
my God. She's like 60 in that movie, and she is so sexy, I want to drown like six kittens.
Speaking of that, we'll say same church, different pew. Or what are your thoughts on Sophia Loren?
Well, dude,
because I only know her as an older lady.
Yeah, I mean,
and she's still hot. I still want to fuck her.
I mean, that's super gross because she's 84.
Right.
But growing up, she was like, she made me feel bad about being bottle fed because she. That's a great joke there, by the way. Everybody's missing it. She was just super, very, very sexy, and she's in a lot of movies where she's dogged up and dressed down, no makeup, and you're like,
and there's still something about her.
Oh my God! I mean, we can go on, and then there's a lot of women that are, I guess they're charismatic, but not super sexy, and wind up on the big silver screen.
Right. So to sort of circle this back, we're talking about. We opened up the podcast today for those listening on the download that weren't with us on the live stream. We opened up today by talking about.
Go ahead. I got to get my lighter.
Yeah, we're talking about the movie called Suicide Squad, and how the director David Ayers completely got fucked out of Final Cut, which is a big deal. I mean, I think most of the time the director should have the final say in the way their movie looks and how it's cut and edited, because you can change the whole movie like that, and that's what they did with the Suicide Squad. So I don't know if you knew this, Nub, So they hired your boy James Gunn that did the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So I don't know if you knew that. He's working for DC. He's still going to do Guardians 3 because they did fire him and rehire him for like the pedophilia jokes that he was doing or whatever.
Oh, dude, I know you're talking about. That guy's a fucking, and he wasn't doing pedophilia jokes. He's kind of a creep.
Right. But he makes a good film. So what are you going to do? But,
dude, I'm going to fight with you on this because that's like saying Roman Polanski did Chinatown and it's okay to rape 13-year-old girls. I'm actually against that, believe it or not.
Did James Gunn post some absolutely creepy shit on his social media for the whole world to see? Yeah. Shouldn't have done that.
Can I ask you a question now that you brought it up? Juicy juice. Can I ask you a question, bro?
Just ask.
Why? I'm void. You will not find anything from the nub on social media. Mm-hmm. And you won't, outside of this character that I play called the nub, you will not find anything on social media. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on email. You can't find me because I don't want to be on it. Why do people in prominent positions, why are they compelled to say, like, dude, what is John Legend's freaky wife's name? Teigen? Chrissy Teigen?
Oh, Chrissy Teigen.
Chrissy
right?
Teigen?
Yeah, is that it?
She took down, like, about 850 billion tweets about little girls? What in the fuck is wrong with her?
What's that old? I heard Tom Hanks did something similar.
Oh, really?
I heard he just recently took down his past, like, 3 years worth of tweets.
Wow.
What's up with that?
I wonder why he did that. I'm not going to ever say that Tom Hanks did anything, but the Chrissy Teigen things, I kind of followed that. And she said some really unsavory, unsettling things. And, she also embarrassed her husband and President Obama by talking about, like, fucking in the White House and shit. She's like a weird, weird chick.
And again, I mean, you just really teed me up to go back to the whole double standard thing, but I kind of want to circle it back to James Gunn for a second. So I think a lot of these people, they might think they're untouchable. I think that's why. I think they can tweet and just get away with it. Right?
Do you think they tweet stuff like that and they're like, I'm so fucking cool, everybody's going to love it?
Yeah, because Guardians blew out any sort of expectations. I know you weren't crazy about the second one. But
I'm not going to lie to you. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. I never saw the second one.
Get the fuck out of here.
Bro.
Really?
I missed it in the movies. I was busy with work. I missed it in the movies.
You missed it in the movies?
And
That's right, you did. I remember that because I was breaking your dick about that.
I want to watch it on...
It's very good.
On home theater. So...
it's still good, but the first one was just really good.
Bro. When Star-Lord, in the very beginning, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then he hits the music from Redbone. Dude, that blew me the fuck out of my seat.
And James Gunn handpicked each and every song for both films. So when he was going through the bullshit... No,
I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to ask you a question. Juice, how old are you?
I'll be actually 36 in a couple of weeks.
All right, I'm in my 60s, right? So for me... That song by Redbone.
Yeah, that's like your era.
Hey, that's I was a teenager, like a young teenager when that came out. So I thought that song was fucking incredible then, right? And when it shows up in the movie, it blew me away. But you'll have no context around that song. When that popped up, do your ears hear like a fucking oldie? Is it like an oldie to you?
Yeah, but
is it like a good? Do you think it's a good song?
Oldie, so I don't know your definition of oldie, but I don't associate...
Dude, anything that's 10 or 20 years old, is anything past that's a fucking oldie. That's a fucking 35-year-old song.
But I don't think oldie is a synonym for bad or...
Well, let me ask you this.
Because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the music.
Let me ask you this then, Ghost Rider. And I bring this up a lot to people. My kids, they are so... They have such an appreciation and wide variety of musical taste. They can name any country song out there and artist. They know rap. They know, popular music. But they know music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Not my daughter the other night was here and said, Dad, put on Brandy from Looking Glass. How the fuck did she? That movie, that was out in the 70s. I was a little whippersnapper when that song came out. But here's the point that I'm getting
Probably
at.
has to do with the environment they grew up in.
But bro,
You probably exposed them to a lot of that stuff.
bro,
I would think.
I talk to anybody my age. When I was a teenager in the 70s, we weren't listening to music 40 years old.
Maybe it wasn't as good.
We weren't listening to music from the 20s,
Right. I
30s,
got you.
or 40s
But why would you?
at all.
Because there was really no rock and roll or rock type of music back then. It was like jazz.
That doesn't mean. Look,
it was
what you
standards.
just said to me. The only good music is rock music.
No, I'm not saying that.
There's
That's not what I
jazz.
mean.
There's swing. There's classic.
But
there's,
that's not. How do I put this? It's different. It's I envision being at like a classy, kind of a throwback looking lounge, with that kind of music. It's like music for a certain mood. That's what I'm saying, and I think the music you're describing from your time in the 70s is more. I can throw this on any time and jam with it.
Yeah, but it's weird to me that my kids know the Mamas and the Papas. They know the Beach Boys. They know Jay and the Americans. They know, Petula Clark. Elvis. I mean, you name it, they know it, right? And they listen to it. But guess what? My kids aren't alone. I hear this from everybody. It's just weird to me that they'll listen to music. Let's see. I would say 40 and 50 years old. They're listening to music they know the Big Bopper. They know, the Shirelles. They know, I could go on.
Well, anybody that saw Goodfellas knows the Shirelles.
Well, are we going to talk about Goodfellas now?
We're going to do a watch along with Goodfellas, either on this podcast or my solo show.
Well, I'll tell you what. With Goodfellas, I growing up in beautiful downtown Newark, New Jersey, I knew a lot of guys like that. You never wanted to fuck around with those guys because those guys would fuck you up. And I ran into them later in my life because of my real name, which it gets confused a lot with mobbed up people. And once or twice it put me in a funny situation. So I can't wait to do the watch along with Goodfellas.
Yeah, well, if you want to be a part of that one, we'll definitely do it here then.
All right. Okay. I think we're running out of gas. We're running out of time.
Yeah. And real quick though, let me if I may.
No, I've got about another few minutes left here on this.
Okay.
But I do want to. I think the next time we do this, Big Tone, I think, was out. He was supposed to be here tonight. I think he was out. I do want to have a guest star next time we do this. Do we want to get the cigar guy in here? Do we want to get the let's call him? I'll leave his name out. We'll call him the comedian. Do we want to get the comedian in?
Oh, that'd be a great guest.
But you know what? Here's the funny thing about all comedians: when they're not doing their shtick, they're very serious people. You know what I mean?
They're hard workers.
No, yeah, they are hard workers, but they have an edge to them. Like when they're not on, and they can be very, like very serious. I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that they can.
Well, they also have the best podcasts. I mean, obviously I name dropped Joe Rogan, Nick DiPaolo, two of my favorites. But you go down the list, pretty much any prominent comedian has not only a podcast, but probably a successful podcast. But to go back to James Gunn, just so in case you're not aware, because I don't think you were, that there's a whole new movie coming out called The Suicide Squad.
So what's the difference between The Suicide Squad and Suicide Squad?
Well, they haven't released too much information about the plot just yet, but it's essentially a soft reboot. And, Viola Davis is in it as well. She was also in the first one as Amanda Waller.
Right.
But basically when...
did you like the job she did, by the way?
Yeah, she was good at the character.
She was okay.
But again, we didn't see the real cut of that movie.
Right.
So the fans are pushing for it to get released on HBO Max, like the same way we're going to get the Snyder cut.
When's that going to happen?
Probably April of 21. we're gonna get it.
I gotta wait till fucking April for that.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. But
hey, can we actually have a Superman that's not pissy, moany, and shitty, like Superman Returns, and then the James Clavell Superman? You know, hey, how about this? Hey, assholes, guess what? I can fly. I mean, as bad as your life can be, if you can fly, things got to be pretty good, right?
well, except for when in the Snyder Cut you submit to the anti-life equation from Darkseid, then all bets are off.
Dude, I don't know anything about it. Don't fucking spoil that for me.
Well,
You're way ahead.
That's the Superman we see in the nightmare scene in BVS.
Well, that's different. That's different. That's not the brooding, shitty Brandon Roth. Look, my Superman is Christopher Reeve, right? This guy's pretty happy. Hey, hate to break it to you.
But how did you like Dean
Superman.
Cain? Good dude in real life, by the way.
Love him in real life. He's a rock star in real life. He's actually, you know, he really is a Superman. He's a Superman. He's a super
I like
person.
the play on words there.
Hey, can we get him on the podcast?
I would love to. I would love to have him on the podcast. It probably is not impossible to get him.
No, I don't think so. And
James Woods, that's probably impossible.
Look, no one's going to get Lord James Woods on, right?
But Dean Cain, I think we can do.
I look.
And you know who's running for Congress from California? Antonio Sabata Jr. He's actually running for a seat in Congress in his district.
Who's that?
He's a pretty, I guess, not as notable of an actor as I thought he was.
Well,
you don't know him.
Like in what? In what?
I couldn't really tell you too many things he's in, but he's pretty notable.
Bro,
Done a thing or two.
I do love Dean Cain. Did I like him? I liked his Lois Lane. What was the Lois Lane's chick? She was on fucking...
Terry Hatcher.
Terry Hatcher is just... Remember she was... What was that TV show she was in?
Desperate Housewives.
Desperate Housewives. Yeah. Oh, my Lord. She's just... She was also on 2.5 Men for an episode where she just knocked my socks off.
Yeah. A lot of hot girls on that show.
Yeah, but getting back to Dean Cain as Superman? I don't know. You know who is a great Superman? You're going to laugh when I say this. And folks out there, I don't care if you laugh or not. He actually elevated the character. But he was the biggest Superman cock tease, which is George Reeves from the TV show. And I'm going to tell you why he was the biggest cock tease. That show came out in the late 50s, right? And he was a serious golden age Hollywood actor. He was in a bunch of movies. Probably one of the most notable was Gone with the Wind. He played one of the twins in the very beginning of the movie, then gets killed. But he was a golden age actor, down on his luck, takes this role and really elevate it. And why do I call him a cock tease? Because when you're a little kid and you're 5 or 6 and you're watching Superman, you want to see Superman. And Superman really doesn't come on. He comes on basically towards the end, right? He kind of wraps it up. The guy who's doing all the heavy lifting is this guy Clark Kent, who's a great investigative reporter, right? He really is a good investigative reporter. But George Reeves breaks the mold because you have to remember, with all these superheroes like Spider-Man and Superman, they can only act out when they're in their costumes. When they're walking around normally, they're fucking dorks. And they just can't get along with people, and they don't know how to communicate, and they're super shy or whatever. It's only when they're in their alter ego do they blow past acting normal and they act super, right? Like Spider-Man with his great comebacks and his snippy, pithy lines all the time, right?
By the way, I want to point out for the show, you absolutely love the casting they did for the most recent Spider-Man, Tom Holland, right?
What do you mean?
Like, you think they actually nailed the casting instead of hiring like a 30-year-old to play Peter Parker. They actually hired a kid that fits the description.
No, he's He's good. He's very good.
Tobey Maguire was probably 25.
Yes.
When he was Spider-Man.
But he nailed Peter Parker's weaknesses. He's shy. He can't talk to Mary Jane. He can't talk to Mary Jane ever, except when he's Spider-Man, right? And the problem with Tom Holland, I don't know why I started thinking about the guy who played Venom.
I don't know that guy's real name.
Hart. I forget his name.
He's also, when we talked about Wolf of Wall Street before, he's in that as well.
No, he's not. Not
he's
the guy
the
who
Quaalude
played...
King.
Was he?
Of Bayside.
Anyway, my problem with the Tom Holland, they forcibly cram so much diversity into it. It's unnatural. Right. It's just not. It just doesn't make sense. And they're trying so hard to be super politically correct. That's a bit of a pain. Well, folks, I think we're going to wrap it up for this podcast. Kind of ending on I think we had a better ending the last time there, Juicy Juice.
How did the ending go last time?
I don't know. I think there were fireworks and dancing girls, and we caught a guy shooting heroin in the corner, which was kind of cool, right?
Yeah, we only had one dog visit today. Last time we had 3.
Did we have dogs barking the last time?
We had 1/3 as many dog visits today as on Saturday, so that's good.
I think we should do a podcast also just on Universal Monsters.
Why not?
And when I say Universal, folks, I'm talking about Universal Studios. Those monsters, the classics, like the Invisible Man, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Invisible Man. Did I say the Invisible Man twice?
The Mummy.
The Mummy. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Frankenstein. And the best sequel ever, top 10 sequel, The Bride of Frankenstein. The music to The Bride of Frankenstein is actually some of the best cinematic music. I am a gigantic fan of movie music. Some of the best scored music. I like. I could just rattle off 20 composers from John Barry, who did like most of the James Bond themes. Oh, I can go on and on about, the guys who, like Max Steiner and Miklos Rosa, and I just go on and on with the golden age of Hollywood. I must have said golden age of Hollywood about 87 times tonight, so you can tell I'm a super fan.
I think what would look really cool in the studio is if we get a couple of those cabinets that I have for my Hot Toys, and we start our own collection for the podcast.
I don't know if that would go into the Donnie Crystal Lounge, though.
You're afraid of the smoke?
No, I'm afraid of the gayness. I don't want people to come in and say.
So you're a homophobe?
No. I'm not a homophobe at all. I mean, if you want to be gay, be gay. What do I care? I have people in my family that are gay, and I love them. But no. I want to have a certain sophisticated vibe in the Donnie Crystal Lounge. And we got to dress up the Donnie Crystal Lounge. We got to do something.
We'll figure it out.
Well, we'll figure that out. As time goes by. I'm looking at some new digs. If that ever came to pass, we would have just an incredible podcast studio. We'd have a lot more room. It would be great. But I don't know if that's going to come to pass.
Well, we'll see what happens. But want to thank everybody for joining us on episode 5 of Rubbing the Rhubarb. As we said before, a little production note for you sexy bitches out there.
Oh.
Rubbing the Rhubarb will only take place moving forward from here with the Nub and myself, plus any guests.
The juice.
When I do my own shows, it'll probably just be called Rubbing the Rhubarb Presents, whatever I decide to call it.
I like that a lot.
But it won't be part of the Rubbing the Rhubarb continuity. So,
excuse me. It won't be part of Rubbing the Rhubarb canon.
Correct.
Right? It'll be like a Star Wars story.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, real quick before we go, is there a Darth Vader movie coming out this year?
Not that I know of.
Is that just fan shit I see on
If there is, I haven't heard anything about it.
Hey, can we get Seth Green on?
You would love that.
I would love it.
Talk some Robot Chicken.
That's all I want to talk about is Robot Chicken.
You know, he did there's about 96 episodes of the show Entourage. He did 2 of them playing like a jerk-off version of himself.
Yeah.
And they were 2 of the funniest episodes out of the whole series.
I think he's super underrated. His voices, he does great voiceover work.
You know what? I'm gonna have to push back with you there. I don't think who said he's underrated. I don't find him to be underrated at all. He's very successful. Think about it. He's got Family Guy, which is a fucking huge show.
All right.
He's got Robot Chicken.
Okay.
He's been on all the Austin Powers movies. I think he had another show on Channel 11.
What?
Which, by the way, here in New York, in the New York area,
WPIX.
right?
So you're saying that Seth
He's got a crazy filmography.
Green, let's see what his net worth is. Not that I judge people by their net worth, but it's not a bad yardstick. His net worth 2020. Dude, 40 million? I thought he would be like
I think that's where he should
be a lot more than that.
I think that sounds about right.
Dude, isn't he like 4'7"?
I believe so.
He's not like
He's
really
not, yeah. But so is Tom Cruise.
Wait, don't you dare say that about Tom Cruise.
Don't they shoot him from the floor up?
Wow, it says here that his height is 5'4". Your best friend's wife is 5'5", so she's actually taller than Seth Green.
Makes sense.
Wow, holy dog nuggets! All right, Juice. Thanks for producing, getting us set up tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for listening. Hey, we had like 16 to 18 listeners. I can't believe people listen to our blabby blah blah.
Just wait till we get good at it, right?
Bro, when they listen, when you said we have 16 to 18, do they just like listen for 10 minutes and bail out? Or they actually, we can't tell how long they listen for, right?
I can tell that on YouTube. YouTube does give you those analytics.
They give you that stats.
So thank you again, folks out there. Give us a follow at Rubbing Podcast for the show. Give me a follow at Juice Giorgio on the Twitter. You can catch us here on YouTube when we go on. And give us a follow on your application of choice. We are on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
Hey, before we go,
Yep.
I'd like to put out a special invitation to a man I like to call Wesley Snipes. If you ever want to come out and get on the podcast and defend your position as the first mainstream cinematic black superhero, I think that mantle of fame rests firmly on your shoulders, and I think you should defend that.
It's out there, folks.
Good night.
Peace the fuck out.